The only way to start your day.
Happy February. We're on to the third hour of the Situation Room. Those who are joining us on KTN Home, those who are watching on YouTube and Facebook, those on Spice FM around the country, karibuni sana. This month is the month of love. We are on air.
Yes, we are.
And
showing that you love somebody, listen carefully, has never been made this easy. All right? If you needed help, this is the time to grab it. Bring your loved one down to the Sarit Center on the 14th of February for a highly anticipated Elegance in Love dinner. Come through for a night filled with great music, fun, dance. CT, this is for you. Wow. And more. And make those memories that last for a lifetime. You better not miss out. Grab your tickets now on www.tickethub.co.ke. For what? A spicy affair.
Yeah. As in the tickets are what?
Let's do it like this. Yes. Okay, so if you have 3,000 shillings, you'll get a regular single. Right?
Regular single.
Regular single. So it's not ordinary. It's regular.
That's the one I was asking about.
Yeah, so think about it like this. You go get a coffee. It's like a regular coffee. A normal, cream and sugar. Now, if you have... single shot. If you have 5,500 shillings, you would be... You could go as a regular couple. Okay. So you plus somebody.
All right.
Now, if you have 10,000 shillings, you can be a VIP couple.
You have 10,000.
What if I want to be VIP single?
So now, what you do, you just
is that
hold
VIP
extra
single?
money. No, there isn't. I don't know why people can't be VIP on their own. Okay. So look, what you do, you go with extra money. So as the night progresses,
you pay for the other one.
You want to upgrade. You might see somebody at your regular single table,
and then across on the VIP side.
You can. I've got it, Cindy. Then now you can get to regular couple, and then now all of you can get to VIP couple. Look, we're talking about Elegance in Love. It's a cocktail dinner. The colors, CT, since you're a man of color, burgundy and gold. You see, like your shirt, like this, that would work fantastically.
My shirt is not burgundy.
There's something in there that would work. 14th of February, 2024, 6 p.m., the Sarit Center. Let's love.
From 6 p.m.
Yes.
How do you buy the ticket again?
Tickethub.co.ke.
Tickethub.co.ke.
Yes.
Sawa. It's a month of love. So we're just going to do everything that talks about love. Okay? Then, City, we've also been talking about water.
Yes, we have.
Mineral water.
Yes, we have.
Bottled at source.
Yes, we have.
Caring it is the brand.
That's the thing.
Okay. Tell us about the minerals.
Well, ordinary water has minerals. Just ordinary water. And what people know are
that is regular water.
Regular water, the tap water. Not VIP water.
VIP water.
People are lost souls.
It has fluoride, it has potassium, it has iron, it has zinc. Ordinary water. Now, come to mineral water. Okay? And this is what Keringet is. Take those ones and then add on top of it magnesium, calcium, sodium. Now, the thing about magnesium is that it is very useful because it lowers the risk of cardiovascular diseases, meaning heart problems. This has nothing to do with this month, okay?
Also, you can't take magnesium if you're heartbroken.
No, and you can't take it to Sarit. But you can take Keringet when you're there. And you can have a drink of Keringet. And all these minerals will be at the disposal of your body.
And all your heart problems.
And your heart problems will at least have a fighting chance. Now remember, 60 to 70% of your body is actually water. And every part of your body needs water to function. So when you infuse your body with Keringet mineral water, all these minerals get to work on your body. And what a lovely body you'll have.
Who thought?
My goodness.
Maji. All right. So we had told you that we would be having a conversation with the newly appointed Chancellor of the University of Nairobi, Patrick Vekoyan. Unfortunately, he will not be able to join us. He's had an urgent commitment that he's got to address In his place, though, we always like this, like that. We have a guest joining us in the studio, journalist Kiguta. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How are you?
Look at you.
Look at you.
Thank you.
Okay, now look at me.
Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Mimi niko sawa.
No,
Ndo is
no.
fine. City is well.
Imagine.
It's full of water.
He's full of water. I never knew water could be so attractive. I'm so impressed. And you know what? Since you were talking about romance and all of that, my day's already brighter. Once I walked in, look what I got.
From City.
City gave you
Chocolate.
something.
Chocolate.
This man.
This guy.
This man is not doing regular, single.
No. He's doing...
He's playing the long game. He's playing the long game.
Sinfa.
We see you, sir. Stay right there.
So just clear your 14th.
I'll work on it.
Just clear your 14th. You just never know.
Could be an elegant.
So what have you been up to, Anna?
Well, I think primarily observation.
Observing what?
Observing Kenya, observing Kenyans. I did politics for a long time as a journalist. When I left politics, I ventured out. Well, to be fair, I'd already ventured out with my own production company. But I just decided to do my own thing away from local politics, away from the local scene, which I think was getting rather toxic. So I've been in and out of Kenya, moderating events, hosting them. When I'm here, I observe, I pay attention. I think I've always been very passionate about our issues and very concerned right now with, the landscape and even how our industry is handling, politics at this time. I think for a long time we've really kind of been the bastion, if you like, of independence in Africa, at least, the African media. And, by the time I was exiting, I had some and some pauses about the direction we're taking. I'm not too sure if we're heading the right direction now, but yeah, I think I've been observing mostly our politics, listening a little bit more.
We want to hear your verdict. But before you do that, let City give you the day's proverb.
Ooh.
And every week, City goes to one African country. He's supported by EcoBank. He goes there, he mines proverbs from that country, then he comes and gives us a proverb a day from that country. Your job is to listen to the proverb and give us your interpretation of the proverb. Your interpretation, not the interpretation.
Okay.
Your interpretation of the proverb. Courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, you've heard about it.
Yes, of course.
It's in very many countries across Africa and outside of Africa. It's in the UK, it's in France, it's in China, it's in the UAE.
Oh.
Right?
It's in France.
I said France. You can say again, the UK, it's in the UK.
And it's in China.
It's in China.
And in France. Don't forget France.
Oh, just in case you forgot, it's in France.
And South Africa.
Oh my God.
It's also in Kenya.
Yes.
Okay?
Okay.
How many people employed?
For over 14,000 staff. And I've got
Yeah.
to look at that number again because we're looking at 35 countries in Africa where EcoBank is. And imagine in Kenya, branches in Nairobi, Eldoret, Kisii, Kisumu, Nakuru, Mombasa, Nyeri, Thika, Karatina, and express points across the country for convenient banking for customers. Seamless transactions, waking up in one city, transacting in another, bringing Africa together, and throwing its support behind great sporting event of the AFCON tournament that's taking place, which Nigeria will win.
Okay. It's okay. It's okay. We'll be here no matter what. City,
The day's proverb.
this week you're in?
I'm in the country of Zimbabwe. Am I in Zimbabwe?
You are.
Okay, so I'm in Zimbabwe.
Not France.
Yes, Zimbabwe, yes. A coward has no scar.
A coward has no scar. And Kiguta?
I love how you pick them. Absolutely. A coward has no scar because they've got no story to tell. What have they fought? What have they stood up to? Of course they have no
Actually,
scar.
there's a little detail. What have they run away from? And you might trip and fall.
And get a scar.
And get a scar? That is the lamest scar ever. Have a scar because you put yourself out there, you were in the ring, you took a swing, something swung back, you overcame it, I love it. City, well done. You're just hitting all the right notes this morning, aren't you?
I told you, 14th. Keep it clear. Keep it clear. You just never know. Never know what the next swing comes with. Now, listen. A lot's happening in the country.
Yeah.
One of the things that we are seeing this morning is the housing levy conversation. There's been public participation in the name of forums that have been conducted by Parliament in various parts of the country. They concluded on Monday or Tuesday. And now it's for the joint committees of Parliament to prepare their report and then take it to the full House. In the meantime, the courts have said this issue of the housing levy, this and the other. And now the National Assembly, through its Speaker, Moses Wetangula, have moved to the Supreme Court seeking to suspend a judgment that declared the housing levy unconstitutional. The Speaker said in a notice filed on Tuesday at the Apex Court that he was dissatisfied with the decision made by the Court of Appeal on the 26th of January, declining to allow the government to continue collecting the levy. Court of Appeal judges Lydia Chode, John Mativo and Mwaniki Gashoka had ruled that public interest tilted in favor of not suspending the High Court decision, which found the levy illegal. So, Speaker has gone to court on that. On the other side, teachers through Kupet, teachers are protesting the housing levy fund reductions in their January salary, terming them illegal and in contravention of a court order that suspended the tax. Yesterday, the Kenya Union of Post-Primary Education Teachers, Kupet, demanded a refund of the deducted amount and threatened to sue the TSC and their CEO, Nancy Macharia, and other officials in their personal capacities for contempt of court. Okay. Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya leader Raila Odinga is proposing a national dialogue as a way out of the housing levy impasse. Odinga is pushing for a national engagement, which he says will bring in experts from around the world. Hey, Raila loves experts from around the world. To implement the affordable housing project and how to finance it. So Raila wants experts to open the server, experts to talk about housing levy, experts to talk about IUBC, experts on this and that.
From France.
From France. And elsewhere. If you look at all these things, Anne, what's your reading of it? What is it about this particular housing program by the government? It's not a new one by the Ruto administration now. It's been there before. It's a conversation that was there before. Azimio had a plan for housing. What is it about this housing program, the implementation of it, and the feedback from the public?
Yeah, for me, it's just the usual circus, when government projects are concerned. It's about who got the tender at the end of the day. It's about the money. It's not about whether or not we need housing. Obviously, we do, right? So, in fact, whilst the Right Honourable former Prime Minister, a couple of years ago was in housing, I think lands and housing, was it? Was that the docket? He had something similar. So it's not something that we do not need. We need it.
It was roads.
Roads, public works? Yes. And housing. There you are. Yeah. He had something similar. I think we need the houses, surely. The question is who's making the money out of it. That's the real problem. If we knew how exactly this thing is being tendered, which companies are profiting from it, who are they associated with, then I really do think what would rise to the surface is what the politicals are arguing about. But beyond that, I also find it curious that, this housing matter is so loud in the face of all the other challenges that we have. Kenyans are struggling from many things. I think Moses Kuria, the cabinet secretary, might have put it in a bit of a tawny manner, but he said we're dying of many things, right? There are many other priorities. I don't know if it's strange to you that housing has become the number one agenda on the table. It may be a comms issue. I'm not sure if State House comms are being unable to communicate the other priorities in the country, but it's just a bit much, don't you think?
Is it, you talked about the tenders and who's getting the contract. Does it matter to Kenyans? Does it matter to the citizens who are being told to contribute towards this levy? Does it matter to the citizens who are the intended beneficiary? Does it matter who builds the house?
Well, I mean, with the history of houses falling in Kenya, it matters who builds the house. But I think, you always have to contribute something. I don't think Kenyans would have a problem in contributing to something which they knew would actually benefit them at the end of the day. What we have is a lot of white elephants, all right? What we have is our money being taken from us, and then the services we're expecting from it not forthcoming. And that's, you could say the same thing for, the new health insurance or whatever have you, I don't mind paying if I'm going to get the benefit, if I know how those houses are going to be allocated, if those houses are actually going to be affordable. Let's define that term as well, But, take a look at the markets that were built for, this sort of council markets, the public markets. At the end of the day, they were all allegedly, let me use that term, allegedly grabbed by either certain business interests, certain even ethnic interest, all right? And then, so the spread isn't right. It's not, I don't think the issue is whether or not we're contributing. Yes, we could talk about the amounts. Surely we're in the middle of a recession. But at the end of the day, do we actually profit from it? What are you taxed on that works?
It's a trust deficiency.
I think so.
The thing is you hear the government saying this and you're like, I don't trust that I'm actually going to end up in any of those houses. I don't trust that these houses are going to be built as per requirement, as per what has been designed. I don't trust. I think that by the time this project is done, somebody will have spirited with the money and the cement and the iron bars and everything else plus the cabro, and I'll be left there with like a thing and I'm told, ingia ile ni nyumba. Now let $1 million tatu.
Exactly.
Now let $1 million tatu. Do it.
There's so many layers to this, and I think we can't run away from, individual interests that lie across board. You always find that if there's a pet project for somebody, regardless of what the impetus behind it is, that they will cheer, they will clap, they will ask, people to come behind and support. So you will find that you have folks who will support the issue, whether or not they truly believe in it, but because of the allegiance that is being demanded, they will support it and they will ask for support from different corners. Many people have given reasons as to why they don't want to go along with this, and people have said things like, well, okay, what happens if I don't meet the threshold for this however much percent that you require for me to then purchase this house? How are we sure? And I think this is the thing. I think all of this hinges on that mistrust that has very quickly gone to distrust. That how are we actually sure that this project will end up in as many Kenyans owning these homes? Number one. Number two, when you look at all of the things that are happening in the country at the same time, is this a priority issue for Kenyans today? And unfortunately, the resounding answer from many quarters is that it is not, But then it would seem as though the government, from the place of the executive, hell-bent on making sure that this thing goes through regardless. Now, would it be time to listen to some voices and even be logical in that place and say, all right, should we put this down and bring something else into play? Or are we those who say we started on this thing until and unless it finishes this path, we will not let down? And that's what I'm saying. There's so many layers to it. But for me, the thing that shouts out the loudest is that the distrust of something that comes about from government as to whether it will actually make its way and see the light of day is an issue that must be dealt with. That why has it gotten to the point whereby it doesn't matter what you say, you could actually come and say, anything you say today, people will doubt whether it is actually going to happen. And for a country to be in that state, where there's that continuous perennial doubt, that's something that must be dealt with. It could be housing today. It could be dams tomorrow. Well, we know what happened to that. It could be stadia the next day. We know what happened with that.
We don't know.
There you go. So imagine this has joined a list of many other things that didn't see the light of day.
Yeah.
And that's something that must be questioned and dealt with. And people are saying, okay, well, is their distrust unfounded? And it isn't. So
where
then
does
you
that
want to
come
take from very little that they have left to put into this project, which they don't even know is going to come about.
No,
Where does it come from?
Yeah,
Look at the list
the
of many other
centuries of-
things.
yeah.
It's what's that thing you normally say? Historical
Injustices?
experience. I mean, what?
It's called lived.
Lived experience. Thank you. Look at all the things that they've said we'll do. It doesn't matter whether it was this one or it's that position whereby this you said we were going to do, this we said we were going to do, we said we were going to do this, that has not happened. What characterizes this particular one differently from all these other things which bear the same lineage that they didn't happen? So here we are with very little left. And now on top of those things that you're saying we want to do, you actually want to take some more from me to make it happen. Of course not. That's where the dissatisfaction with it comes from. That's where the doubt comes from.
So if you're in government, what would you do? Do you stop everything and then you say, okay, can we have trust? Can we have a conversation about trust? I swear to you, Haki, you can trust me.
No, I don't think we should have a
Cross
conversation.
my
I think we
heart,
should
I'm
just
about
be
to
done.
die. Let's, everything else, I'm not going to start anything until you trust me.
No.
I mean, what do you do as a government?
No, what do you? Is it not the person who said actions speak louder than words?
Yeah.
Knew what they were saying.
So I need money so that I can have actions.
But is it housing that you want to do now?
Yes.
Is it now? That's the question. Is that a priority
Yes.
right now?
Yes.
Where are people living today?
In slums, in shacks, which are being rained on and being swept away.
And they cannot afford this option that you're giving to them.
You want to give it to them as an option.
For
Give
them to
it to
pay
them.
for it. You want to give it to them. No,
Provide
you're
an
So
actually
we
option.
are giving it to them after they have given us
the money.
their hard-earned money. So you really giving it?
We are giving them an option, City.
They already have an option.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. There's always an option.
What's the option? What is the option to somebody who has woken up this morning in a slum when it rained, they were not sleeping? What is the option to somebody who has woken up this morning? They are looking for where they can use a toilet. This is a woman who's woken up, she's preparing her children to go to school. She needs to use a bathroom. Everybody's up and about. Where does she go to a toilet? What is the option for her? What is the option for that same person who's looking, okay, me, my children, my cousin's children, my sister's children, my husband, my everything, we are all in the same room. What is the option?
That is a very good question, Eric, and I will answer it this way.
Yes.
The option that this individual has always been there. And that is what many of the governments we've had successively don't represent. A government that actually understands the needs of the citizenry and meet it, not seek to meet it, actually meet it. The issue here is that the options that exist have been extinguished by these very same people. It's not that the options aren't there. They've always been there. In fact, the reason why we have a tax system and the reason why it's graduated is so that people who think they worked harder than others and earn more will pay more. Why do they pay more? So that those who don't have as much as them can also benefit, because somewhere along the line, in the circuitous manner in which economies work, they are part and parcel of the wealth creation that enables you to have your wealth. Now, if indeed we have taxes and we have the money, and the things that are supposed to ensure, we call them amenities, social amenities, are not provided for by the government.
Yeah.
It isn't that the option was not there. The taxes were paid. The options were always there. It is somebody who took away the options. That is the reality.
Okay. So being where you are, so what do you do? So as government, what would you do?
As government, I would halt all these projects to begin with.
Okay.
Halt. Completely halt.
Stop everything.
Stop. Anything that is a capital project that requires a lot of money, you stop. You actually look and say, how much do we have? This is not, I'm not inventing the wheel here. I'm just regurgitating what Kibaki did. Okay? You pause and you say, let's give ourselves a year and see how it is we can collect our funds. Find ways of collecting this money and let's see how much we can actually collect. We'll try and work out and finish the projects that we didn't finish, but we're not building anything new. No newfangled ideas. Then after the 1 year, we say, okay, this is what we have. Then we start living with what we have and say, folks, this is what we have, and this is how we're going to go about it. We may need to borrow just a little bit so that we do this and the other. That way, it's called living within your means. We haven't been living within our means since Uhuru became president President Ruto has come in. Now we are living way beyond our means. That's where we are. Yes.
City, you'd be a very harsh headmaster, I see, and possibly
was
you
a
get
harsh
results. But
headmaster.
there's also the reality. He was?
Yeah.
I was a headmaster.
Oh my gosh. Wow, fantastic. But governments also must deliver. Governments are elected on pledges. Governments are political, well, they're the working arm of a political process, the product of a political process. And at the end of the day, those stakeholders are going to be coming back in 5 years asking what? I do agree that projects need to be revised, rethought. But at the end of the day, the president needs something to open for all of us to clap,
No, he
to say,
doesn't.
to say,
He
to say
doesn't.
tick. Politically, he does.
He
Politically,
does not.
he absolutely
He does not.
does.
In
I'm
this
not
Okanye?
of course he does.
He
Let's take a
does
break.
not.
Let's take a break. 27 minutes to 9. Kenya's biggest conversation. This whole morning we are hosting Kiguta, journalist. She's our guest. We were to host the new Chancellor of the University of Nairobi. Unfortunately, he's not able to join us for another meeting. But then, as we take the break, we remind you about what's happening on the 14th. Love is in the air.
Yes.
And all roads lead to Sarit Center.
Yes, they do. On the 14th of February at 6 p.m. And it's an Elegance in Love cocktail dinner. The colors are burgundy.
What's a cocktail dinner?
You have a cocktail, then you have dinner.
Okay. So it's like breakfast, lunch. Sour.
Something like that.
Okay. Brunch.
Sure.
Okay. Cocktail dinner.
Yes. So what we're going to do is an evening of spicy fun, music, dance, and just generally enjoying yourself so that this particular dinner can express how you then be able to show your love. So Love is in the Air, Sarit Center, 14th of February. Get your tickets at www.tickethub.co.ke. Between 3,000 and 10,000 shillings.
You'll eat and you'll share your love.
Yes.
The head.
The head.
It isn't stopping everything. It is stopping new spending. Look, what I'm actually saying is this.
Yeah.
You ask me, what do you do? You look at best practices. We are not the first country on this planet to have such problems. There are people who've had similar problems and they've been able to find a solution to it, some sort of solution. We ourselves did find a solution internally. That's why I keep bringing up the name of President Mwai Kibaki. But I want to pause for a second.
Okay.
Many people don't take into consideration that when they look at the very many estates that exist in this country, these estates were built by the government. Call it Otiende, call it Ngei, call it Hudu Uruma, call it whatever you want. This national housing was responsible for some of those things. If you go to places like Buruburu, that one we were assisted by funding from, it was the UK, okay? There's a certain fund, I'm trying to remember the name of that fund. That
the Commonwealth.
Yeah, Commonwealth, Huyo, okay? Now, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say, World Bank, Bretton Woods institution and their wisdoms are the ones who sort of like advise us out of this thing of government being involved in building and so forth. There are very many estates in very many cities, very many big towns that were headquarters of the provinces that have houses that were built by government. Those houses were built and they were cadres for what you could afford. Okay? Somehow we did away with that one. Now, here we are. In the absence of the government building, and yet with a population increase and what we call an urban drift, people moving from the rural areas to the urban centers, not Nairobi now with devolution, surely there ought to have been a plan as to how these people are going to be housed. Because the deficit, if you compare those who need houses and those who actually have houses, the rural areas don't quite have that problem. People tend to have houses. You may think of them as you may, but they do have houses. Houses are a priority. But are they a priority above health, above education? No. But what they are a basic right. They are a fundamental right that you have as a citizen of this country. Now, if it's a right, then these people whom you've elected are the ones who have the burden, and literally it is a burden, to ensure that this right is fulfilled. If not to build for you, to enable you to be able to build. And the argument is that what we're seeing now is supposed to be that, the government enabling you to actually own your own house. It is
Or to live in a decent.
that is really good thinking.
Okay.
And to live with dignity. I think dignity is a fundamental human right. So,
It
you know,
is.
for me, it does not suffice to say that, you know, you have some sort of shelter over you, you know. As long as you have food and you're getting school, you know, the wheels are sort of turning. I think Kenyans have been stripped of dignity in everything. You talk about the mistrust. It's because every day you're being shown, you know, get on with the bare minimum. I think it's wrong. It's dehumanizing, and it affects our collective psyche and who we see ourselves as a nation, and our ability as individuals and the collective to build that. Remember the Kenya we want? Which I'm not sure we arrived at that conclusion, but to build that Kenya. So, you know, I think it's a fundamental right. I do think it does trump other rights. I'm not saying education is not important, but, you know, even to be educated, you have to wake up and leave from somewhere to get that education.
It sorts out it sorts out a big base. Now then, with that, so what would be the way to go? What would you advise the government to do right now? So the government, the approach that they've taken has been challenged. It's usually the process. It's not those that have gone.
It's not the concept.
Have not gone to question the concept. It's the process. The process with which you brought in the housing levy. You call it a tax, you call it a levy, you call it whatever, and then you went to Parliament. You put it in the Finance Act, but you had no regulation on how this particular levy is going to be managed. Challenged. Then now you come in with the housing. It's called the affordable housing bill. Affordable housing bill. You say, all right, so people, send your memoranda. This is a post office, or you can come to Parliament and drop it there, and we'll read it if we get time. No, public participation. Again, process question. And you told this is not public participation. It's not it? Okay, we're going to call people to town halls, and you come and talk to us. People have gone. People have talked now. Parliament is preparing a report, and they're going to discuss it all at the same time. It's just the process that is constantly being questioned. It appears like the government is ignoring the need to follow due process. Why?
Because they can.
Why? But you see, they can also follow due process.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know, it's the arrogance, of course, that
What's
comes
the
with
cost of
power. I
following due
remember
process?
I was speaking to a very senior member of the National Assembly right now, and I won't disclose who he is, but you know, in a private conversation, I told him, you know, who you're starting to sound like now? The other guys. The other guys who just a few short 1.5 years ago you were telling us were the wrong guys. Why? Because of the arrogance that comes with election. You know, I think leaders must learn to lead with humility at all times, to respect the people at all times. Going through process, like you're saying, is that respect of the people. It's again that dignifying of the people, that we're here to serve you, not to lord over you. We don't have a predetermined outcome. We're actually going to listen to you because we believe we're here to serve you, not just to push through what we want. And I've taken great exception, to be honest, with a lot of senior figures in this administration and the tone that they're taking with Kenyans. You see them on Twitter, you know, just having absolute no regard for the people who elected them. It's a wrong approach. It's not leading with love. It's not leading with honesty. It's not leading people with dignity. So for me, you know, you can possibly say, you know, these houses must be built, but you know, you have some, you know, even when you're chewing, you close your mouth, you know, you have some manners about it, respect the people. And I don't know why you know, we failed so much on this. I'm not sure that other countries fail this badly in terms of how they speak to their people, showing respect to citizens, showing that we're actually listening. You know, your opinion matters. It's your opinion that got us elected because you thought we were right, and that we still need to carry you with us to the end of our term. For me, that's even just smart politics.
Maybe
you know,
they don't think it's their opinion that got them elected. They think it's something else.
What?
It's my money that got me elected.
Well, I think also when you look at the intent, I mean, there's so many things that come into play here, and when you look at the intent of an individual who seeks political or national office, when you look at the intent, that will almost always inform the behavior that will follow. If I've come into this position because I want to serve people, then you will see that.
It will not be difficult
It will
to
not
see.
be difficult to see. But if what I have come to do is actually to check for some expediency, you will also see that. And it will be evident in the words that I speak. It will be evident in the way in which I carry myself. It will be evident now in the way in which I operate within whatever office it is that I have been given. But I do think here, and I keep saying that when somebody speaks over and over again in a particular way, you should believe what they're saying to you. You should actually hear them and believe what they're saying. And I do agree that it's a process issue. I don't know that anybody would say I don't want a dignified place to live in. I don't know that anybody would say I would not want proper plumbing. I don't know that anybody would not say I don't want a place where my children can wake up and sit and then have a little patch of something to play. I mean, I don't know that anybody would refuse it. But the manner, and my father used to say, it's not what you're telling me, it is how you're telling me that will either make me accept it or reject it. And if you don't include Kenyans, and I think that's where it has failed, that a lot of government processes, and you asked if it's just in Kenya, I think there are many examples of other countries whereby it's like government is, and the executive is there, and the people are there. But if you look at jurisdictions where these processes succeed, that those who've been given temporary authority carry the people along in the decisions that they make. They don't fail on the things that they say they want to do. Take your pick. Doesn't matter where you are. In Switzerland, can we build this road? Let's build it. People say, let's build the road. Okay, we build the road. Can we do, let's all do it together. Let's do it this way. You go. Japan will say, we have taxpayers' money. We want to go and use it to develop in Africa. Can we go? Yes, let's go. Let's do it like this. But this Lord and Master mentality, whereby now that I'm here, I'm going to tell you what to do, is a recipe
Whether
for
you like
failure.
it or not.
It is a recipe for failure. And so I do agree, as I think about it, that the process issue is what needs to be fixed. The position and what that position requires needs to be fixed, because it will be housing today, it will be an education policy tomorrow, it will be markets the next day. But if the attitude remains the same, the results will remain the same.
Where does this attitude come from? Look, if you think about it, the attitude that we see being displayed by William Ruto and the people in his cabinet and those that follow him in parliament is the same attitude that we saw being displayed by Uhuru Kenyatta and those in his cabinet and those that followed him in parliament. It's the same one in very many cases that we saw being displayed by Mwai Kibaki and those in his cabinet. Remember those comments of vomiting on our shoes? They came from somewhere.
Yes,
it's because of some
arrogance
arrogance that was being displayed. That complete disregard for the people, right? So, what is this? Is it a power thing?
It is.
Is it us as a society that we allow it? We are inherently it.
Yes, we are inherently it. It's entitlement that comes when people are in positions of power.
Whatever power, even at work.
It doesn't really matter.
Nyapara in a mjengo
Yes,
behaves the same way.
Let somebody tell me true.
Yes.
Let somebody tell me today that Ndu, you are Lord and Master over the three of these people. It's finished.
Sisi.
Tutaona moto.
I'm telling you, there is nothing you will not do.
Will be assigned duties.
Yes, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Even if the minute you give me that position, whereby now I know that I'm calling the shots, there's something about human nature that just goes. And it has to be checked. It doesn't have to be checked once. It has to be checked every single day.
Therein lies the crux of the matter, because the people, us, the owners of the country, the owners of the constitution, we are the ones who allow it. We are the ones who give that leeway. Because if we don't hold people to account, then we have allowed it. We don't think so, but we have. When I assume that when someone from my community is in power, then we are in power. We are not in power. That individual is in power. There's no we here. There may be a few people around this person who will benefit. The rest of us, man, I'll just eat what I ate the day before and the day after that. I mean, my life will hardly change. But the sort of leaders we're talking about are leaders who change everybody's lives. Yeah. Everybody benefits.
Yeah.
You actually see the country changing, and it's clear. Now, the political class have mastered this and they've understood it. And that's why every time there's an issue, they can shake hands. They agree, they understand. The problem persists. One handshake, the problem still persists. Another handshake, the problem still persists. What we're seeing now is not William Ruto's making. It's a culmination of what has been happening for the very longest time possible.
In this country.
Yes. COVID came along and did all manner of crazy things. Then, the Uhuru government, of which William Ruto was part of, borrowed as though there was no tomorrow. Okay? Culmination. You borrow. See, there are debts.
So you have to pay.
You've got a moratorium of 10 years. 10 years are over. Ruto, you take over. It's due in your term. Now, when you are carrying on practices that were carried on in a time when ostensibly we had the illusion of plenty, and you're carrying out the same practices when we actually literally have nothing and we can clearly see there's nothing, you stand out. But you're not doing anything that others didn't do. So, here we are. And who allows it? You know, people ask, what do we do? What do you mean, what do you do? There is a great deal you can do. But if you've decided there isn't much you can do, then so be it. Then you won't do it.
But Eric, if you'd allow me to chime in, I completely agree. We've sort of worshipped man, if you like. That's what we give our leaders. We don't give them honor. We don't give them respect. We give them worship. I remember when I was hosting political programs, and I was one of the first women to host very hard-talking political shows. And 99% of the time, what I was told, even by the audience, is have some respect for your elders. I was not speaking to my daddy. I was holding a political leader accountable on what they had said and doing it on behalf of the people. So we do have, perhaps it's a colonial hangover, where we worship and we idolize people who are in power instead of understanding that, no, there is a social contract here. You're supposed to meet this end of the bargain. But I think something is changing. I watched the protests by women this past week, and the manner in which, first, I think, by and large, you may correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was organized outside of women in establishment.
Yep.
I think there was something organic that was happening where women as a constituency said, wait a minute, actually, we can say something about this. We've been waiting for somebody in some office to say something. We can say something. And they went to the streets and they levied their political power in that way. And then when the politicos showed up and tried to own the process, they have been checkmating them right there where they booed them in rallies. I think we've been seeing a lot of booing, so and so on, and telling people to go home and following them up on social media and not relenting. And I think, City, what I'm trying to say is, I want to believe, because I've always, as a broadcaster, I've always had to trust the public, that my audience is smart enough to see through these things, is smart enough to respond to the questions we ask and whatnot. And I think there's a shift that's happening in society. When you see, you can't just go and boo the president. I mean, when you can't, and I'm not even suggesting that necessarily.
There's
something shifting.
You're spot on. You see,
Yeah.
the vomiting of shoes that Sir Edward Clay spoke of is with us again. We said this of Uhuru. Two things. When you have a president who is polite and doesn't shout at you and insult you, you think the guy is weak. Okay? Now, when you have a citizenry who give you second, third, fourth chances, you think they're stupid. They are not. They are watching you. And if you haven't noticed, every election they speak. That should give you the warning. It should tell you that it can happen to anybody. We exit more elected leaders than we.
True.
Yes. So you are 100% right. Yes, there is a shift, a clear shift. My favorite bunch of individuals who represent this shift are the judiciary. Man, goodness, these guys are hitting sixes all over the place.
Constantly. On a daily.
When they slip up a 4. So, when you see this taking place, it reminds me of a time, I keep saying this, I was also young once, when I was younger, and you would find one brave soul standing up and doing something which they were not supposed to do when you had a single party system. Or you find 2 or 3 parliamentarians daring the government and saying, no, this, sorry. Now, you see, that moment is with us. I agree with you.
Yeah.
It actually is with us.
Yeah.
What should happen to the housing levy, this housing program?
You know, I'm torn
It's
about
been fought on very many fronts.
I am torn.
There's court, there's parliament, there's
Unions.
public, there's unions.
Yes. It is not the housing levy that they are talking or complaining about, if you ask me. It's what it represents. You actually think you can keep taking money from us and you don't do anything that you're supposed to do with it.
Kifua.
Yes. That is, in Kiswahili, that is my view. No, we are not going to allow you to do that. That is what I hear them saying. Not the housing levy. People want houses, for heaven's sake.
Of course.
It's
They
what
do.
it represents, and
Yeah.
that's what I was saying. It could be housing today, it could be something else tomorrow. But if it comes across in the same way, it's still going to be rejected. You know, so you can imagine, and somebody would think, because is that not the question blatantly that the president asked? Here we are, as you know, trying to do a good thing for you. Don't you see it? Don't you get it? But he didn't get it.
Yes.
He's the one who's not getting it here.
Yep.
It's not the housing that's the
No.
issue.
Yeah.
It's the screen that's behind this. And what are you actually telling Kenyans? That's what they're not happy with. And believe me, look at the character of the opposition to this thing. It is varied. It doesn't matter where you look in society.
It is running away from the politician.
Exactly. It's rejected across fronts.
Yes.
So you must ask yourself, if it was just one group of people who were saying no, 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 then you would say, okay, these guys are being petty. But from unions of teachers, from the judiciary, from society, from communities, from people who work in corporate and the private sector, everybody's having an issue with
And
it.
all of them, the president and his people try to profile them and said it's the people who have jobs who are fighting this thing so that you don't get jobs. It's the people who are living in houses and they have mortgages who are fighting this thing so that you don't get
Yes,
a
yes.
house. And that profiling is still not working. It's failing. Because
backfiring.
if there was then support from the hustlers, then the hustlers would be coming out to say, no.
Have you, Eric? Have you not seen the protests outside the judiciary?
Oh yeah, there's
By
that.
who?
The
By-
workers, housing workers.
In the squeaky clean helmets and
Yeah.
Yes.
overalls.
Yeah, it's because they're not at work.
Okay.
That's why they're clean today. Otherwise, they'd be having humidity all over their eyelids.
I hear you.
Let's go to the news, and then after this, we want to hear from you. We'll open the phone lines. There's a lot that's happening in terms of just conversations in the country, and you want to participate in that conversation. 0719012600 will be the number.